Coming up on Carolina News, Trump visits the White House.
Mr. President, it was a great honor being with you.
The new president-elect Donald Trump met with President Barack Obama. See what they had to talk about. Anti-Trump protests. Hey, ho, ho! Donald Trump has got to go! People around the country are voicing their frustration about the newly elected president. We'll tell you where and how many people took to the streets. And post-election unity.
You're right, he won. There's nothing we can do about it now.
Find out how millennials say we can mend our divided nation. All that and more coming up next on Carolina News.
Live from the capital city, Carolina News brings you your news first. With breaking news and in-depth reporting. Up-to-the-minute weather. And all your sports news and highlights. It's all here, now, on Carolina News.
Hello, and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Danielle Barilla.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Murphy. President-elect Donald Trump met with President Barack Obama this morning in Washington, D.C. This was their first meeting since Trump's surprising election win. Kelly Elliott is live in the newsroom with more.
Thanks, Shannon. It was a busy morning at the White House today. Not only did Donald Trump meet with President Obama, Melania Trump also met with First Lady Michelle Obama, and Vice President-elect Mike Pence met with Speaker of the House Paul Ryan. Trump arrived at the White House around 11 o'clock this morning. His meeting with President Obama lasted nearly an hour and a half, where they discussed foreign and domestic policy. No cameras were allowed inside. Once their meeting ended, both President Obama and President-elect Trump gave brief statements.
We now are going to want to do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you succeed, then the country will.
We discussed a lot of different situations, some wonderful and some difficulties. I very much look forward to dealing with the president in the future, including counsel.
Political science professor Robert Oldendick says he thinks the transfer of power from a Democrat to a Republican will be a smooth transition. It's a transition from a president with a strong political background to a president without a political background that may be more difficult.
I think that there are some areas where he'll take more advice, and I think there'll be others where maybe he will go with his gut instinct.
But there's no way of knowing how the transition will go until after the inauguration.
All the things he said, this is what I'm going to do on my first day. Well, he's going to have a real busy first day.
Donald Trump's inauguration will be January 20th, and he will walk into the White House as America's 45th president. Live from the newsroom, Kelly Elliott, Carolina News.
Donald Trump's win stunned many across the nation and the world. The immediate effect, gleeful supporters, and shock from those who oppose him. But as the day wore on Wednesday, the shock turned to anger, playing out in the streets around the nation. Demonstrators in Oakland, California, protesting into the night Wednesday against the election victory that shocked the world. Similar protests took place in cities across the nation from Philadelphia to Oregon and down through the West Coast to Los Angeles. Some demonstrators there setting fires, others blocking the highway. In New York, as many as 5,000 people gathered outside of Trump Tower, while in the nation's capital, anti-Trump chants echoed through the streets. In Omaha, police fired pepper balls to get the groups to disperse about 3 hours after the protest began. 2 people were arrested in Omaha for obstructing justice and unlawful assembly.
Throughout his presidential campaign, Donald Trump talked about what he would do in his first 100 days as president. His 100-day plan includes delivering big tax cuts, tariffs to stop companies going overseas, infrastructure investments, ending Common Core, getting rid of Obamacare, child care tax deductions, building a wall along the Mexican border, creating task force on violent crime, and rebuilding the military. With the plan, Trump hopes to clean up Washington, protect American workers, and restore rule of law.
During Trump's campaign, he was very vocal about Obamacare. In his first 100 days in office, he plans to appeal the act, Our reporter Mallory Blackman has the story on what you can expect in the upcoming months.
It's going to be a very busy first day.
Republican President-elect Donald Trump vowed on the campaign trail to repeal Obamacare. And it is one of the first things he plans to work on in his first 100 days in office.
I'm going to ask Congress to send me a bill to repeal and replace, finally, Obamacare. It's a disaster.
President Obama's 2010 healthcare reform law extended medical insurance to 25 million more people. For students that are graduating and that could be unemployed, repealing Obamacare could put them in a difficult spot.
Whenever he repeals Obamacare, like he's saying he's going to, that he replaces it with something that will still have that same effect, that will keep you covered on your parents until you're 26.
Enrollment opened on November 1st for 2017 coverage, and once those plans are purchased, it will be difficult for Trump to cancel them before the one-year contract runs out. For social workers that enroll people in Obamacare, no updates have been given.
So what we're doing right now with our customers is we're just saying, as far as we know, as long as you have paid your first premium by the time January comes, you'll be in a binding contract with your insurance company and the federal government through the end of 2017.
Republican lawmakers who have voted more than 50 times to repeal all or part of the law have begun pressing Trump to deliver.
Let me tell you something. As the Speaker of the House, not only yes, but heck yes, we're ready, we're willing, and we have a plan to do that too.
Trump will be inaugurated in January, and as for Obamacare, those that are enrolled now are covered for the next year. Mallory Blackman, Carolina News.
What will be replacing Obamacare is still unknown. More updates will be available when Trump takes office in January. Wall Street welcomes President-elect Donald Trump by avoiding the crash many had feared. The stock market rally is continuing today after Trump's victory. The Dow opened at a new all-time high and the S&P 500 almost hit a new record. Stocks opened higher, building big gains from yesterday. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P all posted gains of about 1% in the first few minutes of trading. Investors are betting that a Trump presidency will be pro-growth with many benefits for many industries.
Following Tuesday election results, minorities around the country have begun to speak out on how they feel. Our reporter Maya Dickerson went out to see exactly how some African Americans are reacting to the decision.
The announcement of newly elected President Donald Trump has caused uproar around the nation. Women, minorities, and all people in agreement are grieving and are not accepting Trump as their president. Protests have broken out in places like New York, Atlanta, and even New Orleans. But even people here in Columbia are feeling the same pain. Dejanay Baldwin, a student here at USC, says waking up to the news was heartbreaking.
I was completely disappointed. I was rooting for Hillary. So for me to wake up at 2 a.m. to see that, it completely broke my heart.
And she isn't the only one feeling upset. Senior Leland Williams says it's so much more than Trump just being president.
It's the legacy that he's going to leave after he is president. If it ain't for a year, if it's for 4 years, if it's for 8 years, it's this legacy that he's going to leave. And now I feel like America is just a huge laughingstock.
According to the National Election Poll, African Americans represent 8% of the votes for Trump. But what can they do to move forward? USC journalism professor said that students have been upset, but they have to continue to push toward more opportunities.
Students still have to realize that the best they can do now is continue to prepare themselves for whatever opportunities would be available. And if the president-elect follows through with what he says, then there should be opportunities for everyone.
Donald Trump has said that he is reaching out to those that didn't support him so that they can work together and unify the country. Hopefully, when Donald Trump is inaugurated in January, his non-supporters will begin to see the change in him they are expecting. Maya Dickerson, Carolina News.
Although everyone doesn't agree with the decision America has made, students say they are looking forward to the new changes. After losing the presidential election, what's next for Hillary Clinton? After spending most of her life in politics, she plans to take some time off to heal from her unexpected loss. Eventually, Clinton will have offers to give paid speeches, write a book, joint corporate advisory boards, and academic affiliations.
After a polarizing election season, healing may be in order for many other Americans too. But with all of the political arguments on social media platforms, is it possible for the country to come together and move forward? Brett Williams sat down with people on both sides to find the answer.
We are the United States of America. But a presidential election, especially one as hostile as this year's, can highlight division in the country. Both President-elect Donald Trump and former candidate Hillary Clinton have spoken about the need for unity in the years ahead.
It is time for us to come together as one united people.
That if we stand together and work together with respect for our differences, our best days are still ahead of us.
But how?
A lot of the tension has come from divisive rhetoric posted on social media.
It hasn't been uncommon to see demands that voters for the opposing candidate unfriend someone. Even beforehand, statements of judging others by their vote have emerged.
Some on USC's campus are saying these kind of posts need to go so the country can go forward.
I think taking a stance and not moving from it is dangerous.
Freshman Zach Speaks supported Clinton. He says listening to other perspectives is the key to understanding.
You might not be right, and they might not be right, but it's good to hear why people think that they are right.
Sophomore and Trump supporter Allie Goodwin agrees.
Ignorance is when you don't want to see the other side and where you don't put yourself in that person's shoes.
USC social media strategist CJ Lake has also seen a lot of false information being shared by users.
That's a big threat to democracy.
Both Lake and Goodwin say they correct others who post something they know is factually false. And for Goodwin, one fact is clear.
He is our president now. There's a lot of hashtags. He's not my president. He is. You're an American, which is something that everyone should be proud to be. We are all Americans. It doesn't matter what side you're on.
It's fundamental common ground, and it might make all the difference. Brett Williams, Carolina News.
Speaks and Goodwin each say they have family members with very different political views from theirs, but neither has experienced any problems. Speaks says it's all about the unconditional love families are supposed to show.
The fall weather looks like it is finally here to stay in the Midlands. Let's send it out to our weather specialist, Zach Driver, who is at the Thomas Cooper Fountain with our first forecast.
Thanks, Shannon. I'm out here at the Thomas Cooper Fountain where there's not a cloud in the sky and our Veterans Day forecast looks great. It could get a little bit cooler this weekend and parts of the Midlands could see frost. I'll tell you where and what to expect later on in the show.
New findings on the Kola property. A coroner has identified 2 more bodies. We'll tell you more next.